Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today with some more Elite Dangerous. Now, we're not actually going to do a live commentary. We're not going to do any trade routes or bounty hunting. I actually just wanted to talk about Elite. I wanted to sort of give my thoughts on the game, now that I've been able to spend a pretty huge chunk of time with it, and I also wanted to discuss the social and community aspects of Elite Dangerous moving in the future, because I know this is a big concern for a lot of people, including myself, because it is definitely a very important part of the Elite Dangerous puzzle. You know, what will make Elite Dangerous a very, very good online space game. But first, let's talk about my experiences with Elite. You know, what has sort of been some of the takeaways for me from my time with Elite Dangerous Beta? What has impressed me the most? What has stood out? And how do I feel about the game? I mean, generally good, obviously. I've been talking about the game like crazy, and I've been playing it like crazy. I've been pushing it on everyone. All of my friends over there waiting for Star Citizen with me. I'm just like, dudes, check out Elite, man. It's so good. It's like the perfect, you know, you can play this while you wait for SC, and it's still going to be a really good game come release. You know, a lot of people very, very excited about it. I've had a few people who hate Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen fanboys, who can't seem to just like enjoy, you know, both sides, or at least just say, no, I'd just rather play Star Citizen because I'd rather play Star Citizen. You know, there's like that camp that needs to absolutely annihilate Elite Dangerous. I had a person tell me that David Braben was a liar, and that everything that they've ever said about Elite Dangerous is never going to happen, based on his own thoughts and opinions, I guess, you know, but that's the internet, right? Anyways, let's talk about why I personally enjoy Elite. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the style, the art style of Elite, the entire, you know, the way you look at Elite Dangerous, the visual styling of the game, the ships, the universe, the starports that you fly to, they all have a very distinctive look, and it's all very cohesive as well. It's obvious, to me anyways, that Elite is sort of going for that sort of rough and tough, you know, hardcore look. The ships are very utilitarian in their appearance. When you look at the Sidewinder, you look at the Cobra, you know, and you look at the bigger ships like the Type 9 and the Type 6, you know, sort of transport truck-style ships, they're designed very clearly around, you know, what they'll be used for and nothing else. They're not, you know, not meant to look beautiful or gorgeous. They don't have a lot of fancy styling on them. And of course, a lot of them are direct throwbacks to the original Elite game. You know, the Sidewinder and the Cobra look very similar to that BBC Micro game, you know, with just like white lines. They've managed to bring that to modern PC gaming, you know, to 2015 and 2014, while still maintaining the very, you know, how would you say it, the very infamous appearance of these ships. And a lot of people hate that. They think the ships are hideous, they're ugly. I personally love them because it's a side of sci-fi that I really, really enjoy. When you look at that, the very, you know, sort of just gritty and dark side of sci-fi, where it's just all about, like, this is what we could build. We didn't have time for styling. I'm not Enzo Ferrari. This is, you know, 3035, and the Sidewinder is made because it's cheap to build, and this is what we use it for. End of story. There's no other reason for it to look fancy or to look any other way. I like that. A lot of people want really gorgeous ships, and don't get me wrong, I like my fair share of gorgeous ships. It's why I bought a Jean Scout for Star Citizen, you know, and it's why I'm looking forward to a lot of the more exotic ships that are definitely going to be coming to Elite eventually. But I really like the styling of the ships that are currently in Elite, you know, these base ships. And again, they're very just built for a purpose. They're not meant to look fancy. They're not a Ferrari. They're a Ute, you know, they're a pickup truck. They are very specifically designed, and it's sort of, again, it all fits into the style of Elite Dangerous. And for me, it's one way to look at science fiction, to look at, you know, sort of space, and there are many ways. You know, there's obviously a lot of different styles when you look at science fiction and the way that they can be portrayed, and I enjoy them all. So for me, Elite is just a different side of the coin, and it's why I love it so much. Now, of course, the other things that are immediately noticeable when you start talking about the design of Elite is the sound. The sound in Elite Dangerous is fantastic. Most of the sounds in the game I absolutely love. I think there's very few that to me were just like, eh. You know, the Gatling cannons, the pulse lasers, the sounds of the ship, they're all so well designed. I actually got to fly the Eagle Mark III the other day, which we'll talk about that at the end of the video, because you'll notice that I'm no longer flying it. And that thing is like, you know, it's this fighter ship with these powerful thrusters, and it just sounds so good. And I wasn't expecting it to sound, you know, as different as it did compared to the Sidewinder, but it does, and it is really stunning. They've done a great job with the sound design in the game. Now, of course, one of the other things that struck me that I've mentioned before was the flight system. a very, very, I would say, bold move to go with the sort of flight system that they went with. And a lot of people initially were disappointed with it. A lot of people who backed the game very early on. But you talk to a lot of those people now, and they'll tell you that they've fallen in love with it. And I know I have. To me, I love it. I mean, it just feels great. And when you combine it with the amazing support that Frontier has provided for the for the HOTAS and the joystick setups, your X52s, your X55s, your Warthogs, even your Xbox controllers, the game is a real treat to play with those. Now, the mouse and keyboard is definitely trailing behind, and I think it's just obvious that when Frontier set out, they said, you know, who's going to be playing this game and what do we want to do? You know, we want to create this complete experience, and for us, the mouse and keyboard isn't really a part of that. I have no doubt that the mouse and keyboard will get to a point where it'll be a very usable device and it will be on par with the gamepad and with the HOTAS and the joystick users, but currently it is definitely not there. And I think it was just Frontier saying, you know, what are we going to prioritize? How many people do we have backing this game at the $150 to $200 level who don't have joysticks? I think for them it was just like, let's look at the situation and make that decision, and they did. And I personally absolutely love this game with my X52. I mean, it's so enjoyable that when I use the X52 in other games now, it just doesn't feel as good because of how just perfectly nailed it is in Elite Dangerous, man. It's so flawless. The amount of precision that I can have with it, I never expected. You know, I only got the thing like a month ago. A friend of mine, he sent me his X52 when he picked up his X55, and I couldn't thank him enough for it because, I mean, I can't imagine playing Elite without it. Don't get me wrong, I really like the Xbox controller for Elite Dangerous. It does play really nice, but nothing beats that, you know, the sense of immersion that you get, that feeling when you actually are able to play with something like an X52. So that support for me has been a really big plus for the game. Again, a lot of people who don't maybe own a joystick, but what I say to you is just grab a single joystick even. You don't need to get a HOTAS, you don't need the throttle, you can use your mouse and keyboard combined with a joystick. Consider picking one up if you're really, really, you know, into Elite. If this is something you're playing or you plan on playing in the future, you know, start looking at prices for them, or grab an Xbox controller, because the Xbox controller to me was an equally enjoyable experience. You know, again, you don't really have that extra bit of fun factor, that nerd factor by having the HOTAS and the joystick, but it still works really, really well. So those were some of the standout things for me. Now, of course, we could sit here all day and start talking about, you know, the negatives, but the game just hasn't had a lot of bugs for me. A lot of them were cleared up. You know, Beta 1.0 came out and it was full of some really hardcore bugs that made me lose a lot of money and time. But that since has been, it was like 2 days, I think, they got 1.03 up and cleared out all those patches. I mean, that was just lightning fast work on Frontier's part. And right now it's kind of just like, you know, you're waiting for more content. There's so much here, but there isn't a lot you can do with it. You know, we have the core trading system, you have the sort of free-form bounty hunting that you can do, you have the missions, which are brand new. So a lot of people are just looking forward to things like mining, you know, and of course more components being thrown into the game as we get further and further to its release, hopefully at the end of this year. And then of course beyond the release, all of that other content that is on the roadmap for Elite Dangerous. So that aspect of the game has me very excited, and all of the new things that we're going to be coming to Elite in the next several months, of course, have me very, very happy that I made the purchase and grabbed a copy of the Elite Dangerous beta. Now, the next thing I want to talk about was the social aspect of the game and you know, community, because right now there's a lot of people voicing concern, like, oh, no one's talking and there's no player interaction, and I'm just like, well, I mean, yeah, there's no reason for people to interact currently. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with the community not wanting to interact. There's just not a real reason. I mean, why should I go, you know, click on someone's name, bring up the voice comm, and spam them with text messages to try and get them into a voice chat when all I'm going to be able to do is say, like, hey, what's up? I mean, don't get me wrong, I actually do that when I play the game sometimes, because I think it's fun to see if someone actually responds and just be like, you know, role play a little bit like, oh, hey, how you doing, Commander so-and-so? Good luck flying out there. Keep an eye out for them pirates. You know, that's fun. But right now, there isn't a real reason for people to actually talk with each other. You can't really trade, you know. I want to see in the future the ability to sort of, you know, throw jobs to people maybe, or, you know, hire someone on board. We know you're going to be able to do all those things eventually. They're just not here yet. So it's understandable that a lot of people don't want to go out of their way to try and chat with somebody. You know, they don't want to team up with people. There isn't a real benefit to that. Of course, moving to the future, this is a very important thing. Player interaction on any level is a must for these games, whether it be, you know, the pirate side of things, worrying about people actually, you know, attacking your ship. We need more of that. Like, it's great that the AI is concerned and you have AI pirates and things of that nature, but after a while, that's going to kind of get old. You know, the AI would have to be really outstanding, and even if it is outstanding, it's not the same level of adrenaline rush to have a pirate, you know, push you out of Super Cruise and then try and take all your cargo as it is to have a real player fly up behind you who is far less predictable than a pirate and, you know, get on the chat mic and say, dump all the cargo right now or I'm going to fry your ship. You know, I'm going to take it down. And then that's when you have to make that decision. You know, you need moments like that. And that, of course, is all delivered by player interaction. Now, I don't think the entire game needs to exist around pure player interaction. You know, this isn't a 100% PvP experience, but the mix of that as well as the PvE components is what will make it a very solid and satisfying experience, and also a very unpredictable experience. You know, one that requires time to start to get a feel for where the good places are, where the bad places are. And of course, like I'm saying, you know, in terms of direct social communication with other players, you know, I imagine we'll start to see more people when there's like a reason to trade with others, and when there's, you know, a reason to maybe grab another friend to get a mission, you know, to pick up a random, or maybe to hire someone to run cargo for you, some sort of benefit to those things. We'll probably see more people sitting in starports on the chat, you know, talking away like, hey man, you know, I'm about to make this run. Do you want to come with me? I have a mercenary mission that I'm going to do, and there's like 3 ships there. You want to come help me take these guys out? We'll split the bounty. You know, once there's the ability to do those things and a reason to do them, I can definitely imagine, you know, player communication, social interaction increasing massively. I know for me, if I had, you know, the ability to split the bounty with somebody, you know, to go do a mission somewhere, yeah, hell yeah. You know, come with me, man. You know, you seem like a good person. You know, I've seen you a couple times in the starport. We've talked back and forth. Why don't you come with me? We'll have a good time. So I think there isn't a real reason to be concerned for it. I know a lot of people are convinced that, oh, but there's this huge hardcore, you know, like portion of the elite community that just doesn't care, and you know, they played the game by themselves back in the day because it wasn't multiplayer. That's fine. They can still play the game alone. They don't have to talk with people. There's still the solo mode, but you're gonna have social interaction. You need to build a community for a game like this to continue to exist over long periods. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I imagine that is definitely on the top of the massive list of Frontier's things to do to make sure that Elite is successful. Now, you guys will have noticed during this video, I wanted to point out that there was like R2-D2 sound effects. I actually am running voice attack on this finally. Voice attack is something that I've talked about before. If you don't know what it is, just Google it. There's so much about voice attack out there. Learn what it is. It's pretty cool, but I just did like some really basic R2 stuff because I thought it would be a nice addition. But let me tell you a story before we go. And of course, I want to hear all your thoughts on social interaction and community in these types of games. It doesn't have to be Elite. I mean, it's going to be a very important thing in Star Citizen, but I want to know how important it is to you and how do you see yourself utilizing it as we move into the future of these games. Now, let me tell you a story about my Eagle and why you're not seeing it in this video. I finally earned enough money, took some time, you know, did some missions, stole some illegal weapons and was able to sell them, and got my hands on an Eagle Mark II, which is a more fighter-style ship. And my plan was, hey, let's deck this thing out, let's get some decent armor on it, and some weapons, and we'll use it as an actual fighter ship, and, you know, we'll just go do some bounty hunting out in the asteroid fields. That was the plan anyways. I got the ship and realized that things cost a lot of money for it. And of course, there's not really a solid way to make large sums of money in this game just yet. You have to do a lot of random things. So I never made that money. And just before I was going to start recording today, I was in Super Cruise with the Eagle, flying to Azeban to start the video. I was pulled out interdiction, and engaged in combat with a Sidewinder. Puny Sidewinder, no match for my extremely agile and actually rather well-fitted weapons-wise Eagle. I lost. It was bad piloting on my part. I lost the ship. End of story. It's gone. We're back to the Sidewinder because I didn't even have... They only wanted 2K to rebuy my Eagle. I only had like 161 credits. So that's the end of that. Let me know all your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next one.